Hello, in today's video I'll be disassembling an ASUS HD7970 DirectCU 2. This is the GHz edition specifically. First thing you want to do is remove all of the screws from the back plate. Pretty simple process. Just first remove the small ones. This is just my preferred order. Just remove the small ones first and remember to organize. They might not come out when you unscrew them with the screwdriver. Mine isn't magnetic, so that might be the reason for it. Or it's semi-magnetic, it's not really strong. Sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, just pull it out. It's probably unscrewed if you hear the little clicks. There we go. That means that it's out. In general, the HD7970 is a pretty good learning card because it doesn't have any proprietary kind of components. It's more of a pretty standard thing. It has Phillips screws, which makes teardowns a lot easier. I'm gonna go full out. I'm gonna take apart the cooler even. But if you want that, you can just skip farther forward. If you don't, stay here. When it comes to these big screws, you do want to apply an X pattern, but I can't be bothered because it's just a quick thing. Yeah. When you screw it down after reapplying the thermal paste and pads, then you want to have it in a crisscross pattern. At this point, you can remove the back plate and put it aside, but we're not done yet because over here there are 4 screws. These 2 bottom ones, these 2 side ones, you want to take them out too. They are also holding the cooler to the what's called a PCB. Both the backplate screws and these ones, you don't need to be worried all too much if you miss them or scratch a little bit on the sides. It's just metal. Over here and on the backplate, it's mainly plastic, I think. But I mean, this card is pretty much a solid aluminum or something like that. Gonna unscrew these bottom 2. Like that. Damage to the PCB is very likely if you're not careful. So static safety. Just touch something metal, like a door handle, your phone, anything that's metal before handling it. And you also want to not have anything metal near it. I'm gonna do something stupid in a couple of seconds. You shouldn't replicate it, but if you have a guitar pick, I mean, then it's fair. Here, you're gonna take off the PCB. Just come right off. The fan header, at least on mine, is quite particularly stubborn. So I'm just gonna put this thing aside. And I'm gonna show you quickly how you can handle it. It's probably not recommended to do it this way, but I do it, and I don't know. So I'm just gonna angle the phone and zoom in. That's the fan header. You want to come in with a decently sized flat head and start wedging it in there. Try to get in as good as possible. If you can't, get a smaller flat head I am gonna try and get in with this one. Let me just get a better view of this. Okay, there we go. And then just wedge it up. Like that. PCB is by itself. This thing, you don't need to do anything with it unless you're changing the thermal paste. So just put it aside somewhere. Safe. The cooler is where you want to apply the thermal pads. I prefer it that way, not on the PCB. Now you can disassemble it, which I'm gonna do now, but it's very unnecessary to do it. But whatever. Let's start first with the screws on the sides. So you have 2 screws on one side, 1 screw on the outer, and 3 screws on the inward side. At least, yeah, it's like that. So you just take out those screws. They're the same as the fan screws, so you can just group them in like the fan screws. What this will do is let us separate the fans and the fan shroud from the heatsink and heat pipes. I will do a repasting job sometime later. This will probably get 0 views anyways. But whatever. Might as well do something I love, don't... It's like, yeah. Let me just... This is also not a process that should be taken too lightly. You should be very careful, but I am just overly careful for every PC component, so here we are. Except for my SSD, those things are bulletproof. Okay, not really, but like, they're pretty solid. I can say so. They can survive almost anything. They're unlike hard drives that can't be dropped or shaken or exposed to vibration, because you can scratch the little metal rings it has on it. SSDs aren't mechanical. Okay, there we go. Heatsink removed. Try not to put your entire hand on the thermal paste. Happened to me way more than it should have. Way more times than it should have. So just put it aside. I mean, putting it aside on the edge of a table would be better than what I'm doing here, but whatever. Now the fans. It's just 4 screws per fan and then you can take them out. Pretty easy thing to do. You can just group them in the same space where you had the screws for the heatsink. Now you can disassemble it further, the heatsink from the metal plate, but I stripped one of these 4 screws here, so I can't do it, but you do you. If you want to do it because you gotta clean it, do it, because it's probably about time you clean your GPU if it's this old. I am decently experienced with this, I'd say. It's my, 13th time doing this? One and the same GPU, sure, but I mean still. Also, the header, the fan header. The plastic shroud surrounding the pins, I would recommend you either bend it or break it so that it's easier to go in. But I'll show you later what I mean by break. Don't do anything yet. Almost all the screws are out. One fan is already a outside of the assembly. You might find 4 screws still on your I/O bracket. Those aren't important. Even if you do remove them, it's just annoying. Just annoying to both to put back and to take out, so it just takes longer. Okay, fans are out. You can change these. I'm gonna go ahead and compare them to some 90 mils and 80 mils I have to tell you the exact width, but they're probably 92s from the shroud itself. Now that everything's out and you've got your screws nicely sorted, you can do any thermal pad or thermal place changes you want. So what I mean by break is these little side nubbins. You want to either bend them or break them in the way that I did, so that you can force your flathead in between way easier. Otherwise it's just the middle and it probably doesn't even fit. Like this, you got way more area for it. Now let's begin the reassembly process. First you want to reassemble the heatsink to the fans to the shroud, which is relatively easy, not really statically bad or anything. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say at the beginning, you want either a wooden countertop like this one, or the anti-static, or anything that's anti-static basically. A cardboard box from a PC part, or an anti-static bag that comes with most motherboards and GPUs. Just PC components in general. Now, how do you put in the fans? The fan with the shorter one goes to the outside. How do I explain? How do I know where the outside is? Because the outside is away from the GPU die. What that means is that you see this. That means that it's away from the GPU die because the I/O bracket slots in here. So you can, and the longer one is closer to the I/O bracket. Why? Because the fan header is all the way at the other end of the GPU for some reason, and I think it's like that for most of the graphics cards. When starting up the fans, you want to put a singular screw into each one, line up the holes nicely, put in a singular screw until it's tight. Then you're gonna go to the other fan, put in a single screw in it too. Let me just look at this so that's easier. The closer you bring it to your face, the easier it gets. Okay, like that. Now the holes should be relatively aligned, and you can start screwing in side per side, so side by side or whatever. Just move the fans so that the hole is where the hole on the surround thingy is, and just do that and just screw it in. On the shroud. I'm sorry for my bad English. It's not my first language. Yeah, like that. Over here, you are gonna have to press these because I cannot assure you that they are gonna be tight enough for you to just pop some screws in. So you're gonna look through it. When you see light, screw it in. And yeah, after this, after a pad change, on old GPUs, the pads often expand. So if you've measured out your pads to be, let's say, 1 millimeter, they might actually be half. And in the case of the DirectCU 2 version, they are, because I've made that mistake. So yeah, I recommend you go down by 0.5 millimeter just because the pads are that old. Basically, the pads expand because of moisture, if you're in a very moist country, because of moisture, because of heat expansion, because of all of those different things, they expand and go up. You might think it's a 1 millimeter pad, but it's actually half or 0.7. In which case, these Arctic, it's a 30 pack, 10 per kind, it's half, 1 and 1.5. If it's perfectly to basically this GPU, you just have extras for the 1.5. But like, yeah, it's basically perfect. Now, because you screwed in the fans first, you are gonna have the problem. The fans are thinner than the holes in the metal, so you're gonna have to push it out, align it, all of that good, bad, whatever stuff. Might seem scary, but it isn't, because this isn't fragile. It's basically just a lot of metal. The most fragile thing in the entire fan, shroud, whatever assembly are the fans themselves and the heat sink. Technically, not the heat sink. Technically, those little metal thingies are pretty fragile, but you can just bend them back. It's like that simple. You can just bend them back. Screw by screw, you're getting closer to assembling it. When it comes to stability tests, the only thing you want is to install the Heaven benchmark and just run it for like an hour, or a good recommendation if you play War Thunder, just run the hanger for an hour, because the hanger is for some reason harder to run than an actual match. Don't ask me why. Soon done with the fan assembly, and then we can just plug in the fans, put on the PCB, screw it in, and plop it into our system. Like that. Make sure all of the screws are properly tight here and on the PCB, because I've had times where I would think they're tight enough, because people say don't over tighten them, but you have to have them like perfectly tight for anything to work. So I guess plug this in carefully, put just enough pressure for it to go in, and lift up the PCB. I lift it up by this metal IO backplate thingy. You can do whatever you want, really, as long as it doesn't damage the PCB. It's fine. Let's put that in there. Now the problem is these fan cables are always going to be a little long, so you're going to want to pull on them from the outside so that you can actually place down the PCB. Now you want also a shorter one to end up underneath too, like that. Perfect. Of course I smeared thermal paste all over my hands. It always happens. You can never run away from smearing thermal paste when disassembling a GPU. Now we're getting to the less fragile part, where you're screwing in the backplate, so you don't have to be as worried. I wouldn't say you have to be really as worried when screwing in the backplate as when doing anything else. Okay, you start with these screws, and if you just change the thermal paste, you want to screw it in an X pattern. Those clicks are perfectly normal. They don't signal anything bad. I'm just gonna check in real quick if my shit is lined up. And it was. You need it to be lined up perfectly, unless you want to brick your GPU. So yeah, older cards are always gems to work on because they just have so many like standard shit, so like Phillips screws, and they have a standard layout, so they're just the best to practice on. Okay, like that. Now we're getting closer. First thing I'm gonna do is screw these little screws. So what you should have left at this point are shorter screws and the longer screws. The longer screws are backplate screws. They're the longest screws in general. So yeah, those are screws, the shorter ones, the stubbier ones, that go in, I don't know how safe it is to lift it up by that, but I'm gonna lift it up by the fans instead. In here. So we want to screw those in. I do like screwing them in first, and nothing here is fragile. It's a piece of metal behind this and a piece of metal in front, so you can miss and over tighten as much as you want. There is nothing fragile there. When you come onto the back plate, there's a lot of shit that's fragile. The PCB itself, which you can scratch very easily. And if you have a metal if you put your GPU on a metal surface, you're done, buddy, because that thing is shorted now. So, big mistake. Okay, screwed in. Now the last couple of screws aren't too hard, but I have to tell you a couple things about them. If you take this screw, put it in, and it doesn't drop down and stays up, that screw is, you didn't do something properly. You have to disassemble it again, do everything properly, and then reassemble it. So let me just show you a little more of a close-up here. I'm gonna sit myself down. So if the screw, when you pop it in, doesn't sink like that, almost entirely, something is wrong, and don't even bother with screwing that screw in because you're probably gonna break something. So yeah, that's just a quick tip. Most of assembling anything in PC building is just screws. It's a whole bunch of screws. Also, if you have any school issue laptops, if you're a person of a lower age like me, I still have my school issue laptops. I'm only 13. Very interesting. But I get a school issue laptop, and lo and behold, it has Phillips head screws, which is basically calling to me, unscrew me. I don't want to do it. That's the only reason I'm disassembling GPUs like this. Only reason. Okay, assembled. You can leave these cables just hanging out here. Now let's go to the PC and check out if it works. I'm gonna sit myself down. Oh shit, I forgot my screwdriver. Wait. Okay, there we go. Just a quick screw it in and let's test it. The HD7970, unlike many today's GPUs, 4090, have LEDs. It's a good sign that your GPU works and knows, bro, I'm not plugged in yet, don't turn me on. So, yeah, just plug them in, plug them connectors. Fucking hard as shit to do with a single hand. These daisy chained connectors are something different, okay? Now let's just connect the display cable in. Oh, that's correct. give the baby some juice. And for my PC at least, a VGA light turning on means that the GPU works. So that's kind of an early call to the GPU working. There we go, we're booting. Just watch out so that your fans don't eat your cables, as mine are. Okay, that's good. Don't mind the daisy, not the daisy, the jerry rigging, whatever. Yeah, booting it, we're booted into Windows. The GPU works flawlessly. A couple more tips I can give you. When working with a GPU, you want to be statically non-existent. Basically, touch anything metal before handling it. So, touch a door handle, touch a PC case, touch a power supply plugged into the wall. Anything to take out the static. Second, work on a statically safe place. Wooden countertop, wooden desk, ESD safe mat, whatever, just nothing metal. And I don't think stone is safe either, but wood and ESD safe mats. Perfect. Another thing, you want to handle your PCB with a lot of carefulness. You don't want to drag it much, you don't want to force it much, you don't want to bend it. Mine has a little bend in it, but that was from a previous mistake, so it works, I guess, but the less the bend, the better. Yeah, that's basically it I had to say. Thank you for watching. If you've watched the entire video, probably nobody is ever going to watch this, but still, see ya.